with L&B Counseling, and I am here today with a really exciting guest. This is Amanda Golini, and she is the captain of the U.S. National Field Hockey Team, and she just got back from Paris. She was in the Olympics, so really, really cool. So we're going to get into like a little bit of her, anything she wants to share about her mental health journey and how Team USA and her team support her mental health through that high pressure environment. Mm-hmm. First, I'm going to ask you a few questions that are just going to be kind of personal and fun.
Yeah,
okay?
Love it.
So the first one I have for you is, what is your spirit animal?
Ooh. I think on initial instinct, I would want to say a lion because a lion is fearless, but I definitely think I have like an empathetic side. So I'm going to go with like a mother elephant because they're very protective of their young. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love elephants. They're cute.
And they're fearless too.
Yes, and bold.
Yes.
I think of like bold and like also having a soft side.
Yeah.
And then my other question is, if you were a season, what season would you be? What season gives off your vibe or your energy as a person?
I think I would say the fall. I think two things come to mind. One, I think the fall, there's a lot of changes, and I would like to think that I'm always changing and growing as a person. And then two, I think of field hockey season, holidays coming up, like fall I feel like is just a jam-packed time of year for most people who are going back to school. So I think that like high fast pace kind of matches my energy too.
Okay, cool. So is fall one of your favorite seasons too?
It is.
Cool. Yeah, me too. And then next, kind of tell us about how you started playing field hockey and kind of where you're from and how you kind of got to this point of being in the Olympics.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Randolph, New Jersey. I actually grew up playing softball pretty competitively. Thought I was going to go to college for that and kind of saw that as like my trajectory. And I actually started playing field hockey in high school.
Oh,
I think the pace of the game was something that I really enjoyed. And then kind of conversely to softball, I felt like I could make a mistake and it didn't define my game. And so obviously in softball, there's kind of the uncontrollables. You can only get, like sometimes a game you'll get one ground ball hit to you, and if you make an error, it feels like that defines, your whole performance. And so in field hockey, I really enjoyed the fact that, yes, it was high pace. I felt like I was always involved, could make an impact in a lot of different ways, but that my mistakes didn't necessarily define my whole performance. I could use my work rate to kind of counter those mistakes.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I never even thought about like games in that way. Like how big a mistake would impact the game. But I guess in different sports, it's, heavier, it carries heavier weight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been interesting, I think, to kind of, see my growth into high performance level sport and how that pressure moment like does evolve and does change. And those mistakes do kind of matter more, but that was kind of like the root of why I fell in love with the game.
The therapist in me wants to ask you, like, how does that message parallel to like other things in life, like making a mistake in something that's not a game?
Absolutely. I think honestly, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more, but I've been a part of the team since 2017, and I was a part of the team that didn't qualify for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And so, I think it pairs well in the sense that I think anything you face in life, you're gonna have, your mistakes are gonna help you grow and become a better person. And I think a lot of times, especially as we get older, we kind of shy away from mistakes and shy away from failure, but that failure is so vital in our growth. And so I think that's something, that I have to constantly remind myself and remind my teammates. And just being super intentional about like, what are you trying to develop at? And when you're in a development phase, that's going to look like you making mistakes, and that's okay. And there's a time and a place that, you know, performance is of the most importance, but don't forget about that development phase where failure is supposed to happen.
Yeah, I think we can all learn from that. Like, sometimes we have to frame failure or mistakes as good things, because that if we never make mistakes, we never grow, we never learn, and like we're always looking for the most comfortable thing, which can create a lot of anxiety. So the fact that like in your game you look for chances to learn and grow and make mistakes, like I think that does really parallel well with people going through mental health struggles and stepping towards discomfort to grow and like not let whatever, you know, diagnosis they have, whether it be anxiety, depression, whatever it is, like how can I push myself into maybe things that make me uncomfortable and not let like anxiety or whatever it may be control me in this situation. Okay, so my next question is, and you can pick and choose what you would like to share here, because I know everybody has different preferences on what they share. But have you been through, you know, your own mental health struggles through being a high-performing athlete? And, like, what did that kind of look like for you if you did?
Sure. I think early on in my career on the national team, I think I had a lot of, like, self-doubt. And I think just my journey to the national team was a bit unorthodox. And I think that's, just in any area of your life, kind of like what you talk about, I think doubt is going to creep in, and doubt means you are, you know, pushing towards doing something that is uncomfortable, and that can be okay. But yeah, I think then after not qualifying for 2020, I think that was a huge mental hurdle for me. And I think honestly, one thing that was super challenging was especially then having COVID hit at that time, being able to like sit still with my feelings. And it's honestly something even now today, like post Paris, just kind of dealing with and being okay with is like, okay, I don't have to be go, go, go. I need to sit still and like process what my emotions and feelings are. But then at the same time, like not letting that necessarily dictate any negative feelings or sadness dictate. But I think it's important to process that. And I think a lot of times we just kind of, you know, shove it under the rug and then just keep moving forward.
Or we're looking for the next like big thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, you know, maybe for some people, hopefully, like you don't always have to have the next big thing, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, I did that. That was so cool. And like, let me process that. And it's okay that I'm just kind of in like a chill season right now.
Yes, exactly.
Is that kind of what you're feeling right now coming off of the Olympics?
Yeah, I think the Olympics are, I mean, they're incredible in so many ways. But it's honestly like, it's hard to describe or to put into feelings. I think there's a lot of conflicting emotions that come with it, right? And I actually read an article recently that was like comparing the opening ceremonies to the closing ceremonies, and how at the opening ceremonies, you know, you have all these Olympians who are like embarking on this Olympic journey, and they've, you know, worked their way to get here, and there's still so much hope in the air in terms of the unknown is possible, and you know,
like I could win a gold.
Exactly. Like, you know, the possibilities are still endless at that point. And then the closing ceremonies, it's like some people's dreams are shattered. Some people, you know, are entering the closing ceremony with medals that weren't expecting to have them. So just like the whole navigation of those emotions.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I think there's a lot of conflicting emotions that just arise, like being a part of the games. I mean, there's so much gratitude that's had, yet we're still high performance athletes at the end of the day who are like always looking to try to succeed.
So my next question was, how do you handle setbacks or like a disappointing performance, and how do you do that mentally?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons and biggest takeaways for me is always to be process oriented and not outcome oriented. And I think what that allows me to do is, okay, we've had a bad game as a team or personally, I have to stick to my routine that I have and how I'm going to debrief it and how I'm going to approach kind of closing that game and putting it aside and then resetting my focus for the next game. So, I think reminding myself that it's all a part of the process is important.
Yeah.
In terms of personal performances, I've, done a few different things. I've done affirmations before where before a game, I have a bunch of different routines, but if I really feel like I'm struggling, I will write in my field hockey journal different things and different skills that I know I'm good at, but then make them I am statements. So I am good on the ball. I can make decisions, or I do make decisions on the ball. I do change my mind on ball. I pass the ball stick to stick. I can receive the ball on the move, and things like that. And
That's
I think
awesome.
that helps just, remind myself that I'm capable of all those things.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you need just some reminders, and it sounds really simple, but they can be really powerful to like write those down or say them out loud.
Yeah, it's actually interesting coming off the Olympics too, like just seeing how many Olympic athletes really do use affirmations.
Really?
To help like them in their mental journey and in their elite sport.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I think there's another layer to this because you're a leader on your team. Like you're a captain, and the team probably looks to you at some extent, right? Because you are the captain. When they have a bad game, like how do you kind of lead your team through that? Do they look up to you in those times?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think something that's been hard for me previously is like asking for help. So I think if it involves the team at large, I think it's important. I mean, we have an amazing group of like 5 or 6 leaders, part of our leadership group, and then I have a co-captain or 2 co-captains that work alongside me. So I think it's about supporting each other, putting our heads together, and figuring out what is best for the team. But I do think like on an individual basis, if you're having a tough game, at times it can be hard to lead.
Yeah.
And so, doing those affirmations or having those mental processes, or also just having like the vulnerability and ability to just like own up and be like, that wasn't my best game, but this is what I'm going to do moving forward.
Yeah.
It can be helpful and powerful for the team.
Yeah. Being a leader is like a privilege, but it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
To have people looking up to you in those moments.
Yeah.
And then you have to remain personally strong too. So that's awesome. Next, I kind of want to get into like how Team USA or the USA field hockey team supports its athletes' mental health.
Yeah.
So what kind of resources do they offer to you guys, and how do they help you navigate the emotional ups and downs of what the Olympics can be?
Yeah, absolutely. So both USA Field Hockey and Team USA both provide like mental health support through Sports Psych. We work personally one-on-one with actually 2 sports psychs that work with us throughout the 4-year cycle. And so they are a huge part of our program and honestly our success to have qualified this past cycle. And yeah, we are just privileged to be able to work with them on a daily basis. And I think honestly we can talk about the support in Paris itself, but I think the work that they do on a day-to-day basis prior to Paris to help us prep for that is huge. And I think some of their work is one-on-one and performance-based, and some of it also is just like preparing for what is to come and the different challenges that we may face and how we're going to approach those moving forward. But then Team USA offers different levels of support post-Paris as well, to be able to kind of help athletes navigate, the high highs, but then the low lows that come post to games. And so they offer like community groups and workshops, and then they also offer therapy that you can receive. And then they also do some different events that kind of bring together Team USA athletes and also teach you how to like leverage the Olympic title and this moment kind of into transitioning your future, if that's,
like kind
the
of
path for people.
career-wise. Okay.
Yeah.
So they help with that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's awesome. And then what kind of things did they have in Paris to help you guys?
I love it. So one of the things, and this wasn't necessarily, we'll get into Team USA first. But so Team USA, we have a what's called the ARC. It's the Athlete Resource Center in Paris, and it's a room that has TV set up, and it's basically an area for athletes to come and like kind of help with the community building. But they also have yoga mats that you can grab a yoga mat and do some stretching. And then they also have an activity room where you can go, you can color, you can do a puzzle, and just some other activities, self-care, like face masks and things that you can just walk in, grab. You can take it up to your room, you can do it there. And so
That's so cool.
I think that is huge, and also like providing athletes with the ability to just like decompress and kind of step away and put their attention elsewhere. So one of my favorite things at the Olympics was this mind gym. And so just like you go to the gym to lift weights, cardio, all of that, there was a section in the gym. It was closed off, but it was this like back room upstairs that you walk in, and there's a notice outside the door that says like, please be quiet when entering. And there's music playing. It's really quiet. There's a great ambiance. It's like dark with like some like
Like, do they have like essential oils?
Yes, they had essential oils being sprayed and like infused in the air. There was like mood lighting, and then they had a few different stations throughout. So they had bean bags that you can just go. You could read a book. They had yoga mats. They had paint by numbers, so you could go, you could sit down, paint for 5 minutes, paint for an hour, and then walk away,
cool.
and someone else could go finish the painting. And then they had an area that you could write notes that you can then mail home to loved ones. So it's like kind of getting into that like gratitude that can definitely help with mental health and your like mindfulness and things like that. And then they also had these VR goggles. And so you put on the VR headset and you could do a mindfulness practice or you could do virtual reality. So the virtual reality was you walking into the stadium or a stadium, and there's fans cheering and really getting you like excited for what the feeling would be like to walk into your venue for the first time.
Yeah.
And
so you did that? You put them on? Okay.
Yeah. So I did that before we took the pitch for the first day. Before we played our first game. So
and did you notice, like, what did you notice in your body? Like the first time that you put it on?
Yeah. So when I put the VR goggles on and did the virtual reality, I mean, you're like sitting there and you're like, there's other people obviously in the room, and it's quiet and mellow, but you're like holding back tears, like just because it's like they're talking about your journey to get here, and like it's just like remarkable, and like you have so much pride and gratitude for all the people that have helped you get there, and for me, the team that I was with, and it's just such a special moment that you're like just hyping up for.
Yeah. And did you feel like maybe like some butterflies in your tummy and like
Yeah, for sure.
Just like I can't even imagine like what that like that response felt like in your body.
Yeah. It's interesting though too, because I was talking to someone the other day, and they had asked if like at what points within being away did I like, were there tears, were there happy tears, like were there emotions and things like that, and I thought that I would be more emotional during our first match, like after we ran out of the tunnel and onto the pitch. And I actually think that doing the VR goggles just like helped you almost like settle those nerves, and like you said, just kind of get those feelings out and like be able to process them, because it is such a big moment.
Yeah.
And so then when I was running out, it just had a smile on my face. And was so,
you had already
so happy.
kind of felt that initial whatever emotion. Like, if you could put one word to it, what would it be?
Ooh. I think I would have to do two, and I think it would be pride and joy.
Pride and joy, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna tear up. That's awesome, and it's like, I feel like there's other places in society, like through therapy practices or even schools or other places where that would be so helpful.
Oh my gosh,
because even just like the mind gym that you're describing, like just a little moment of mindfulness, and you can go in color or just take a second of gratitude, but also like therapists know that with clients with anxiety and OCD and some of those fear-based diagnosis, like exposure therapy is the golden standard. So like being able to potentially put a client in like a situation that brings them a lot of anxiety and doing that in therapy could help them feel ready for those moments. So that's, my therapist brain just goes there, and I'm like, I love that so bad. But that's awesome, and I love how you said pride and joy. What was that moment like when you were walking out for the first time?
It's honestly, it's like so indescribable. I can't really put words to it, but fortunate for us, we had like our family in the crowd, and all your, favorite people, so to speak, are in one place, and like you've just been on this journey with so many people, whether that's your teammates, your family and friends who are there, all getting to watch you like accomplish this lifelong dream. So, there are really no words to describe it.
That's amazing. I can't imagine that. In your experience, and kind of going along with like the mind gym and kind of the help and support that they gave you, how open is the conversation about mental health, like among Olympians or like in the village where you guys were? Did it seem like people were willing to engage in like the mind gym and things like that, and it was important to them, or do you feel like it's more stigmatized still?
No, I think honestly at the Olympic Games, like I think those high performance athletes understand and value so much the impact of the different tools and strategies that help us to perform at that level. And so I don't think, you're not sitting on the couch necessarily.
Hi, Banks. Sorry, guys. This is my dog. He wants to be in on the podcast. Okay, so next I want to talk about what role does community play in supporting you as an athlete? So like your teammates, coaches, maybe your family. How does that help you with your mental health in those really high stakes moments?
That's huge. They're there for you through the high highs and the low lows. So I think the support, especially, from my teammates and, specifically from my husband, I think, he's always like first one to encourage me, tell me to keep going. When I faced failure and had doubt, like, helping me kind of get back up on my feet and, sending me off again to be like, you've got this, and this is a dream that you've, wanted to pursue. Let's do this together. And, I think just having those people who you can go to and also confide in and talk through things with is super important. Like I talked about before, being able to process your feelings is something that's super important. And some people can process things really quickly, and for me it takes a bit longer. I love to talk things through with people. And if not, recently I found a love for journaling, which it's come a long way to get me there.
That's awesome.
But I think just being able to have those people around you is just super important, because it makes the highs that much more special. And then obviously, like, they're the ones who get you through those low lows. But as it pertains to the Olympics, like, I think it made it all the more special because they have been along that journey with me. So.
Yeah. And I think, like, you can describe the feeling of walking out onto the field to me. And I think I said, like, I can't even imagine that. But your teammates share that experience with you. So they do know what it's like. And, like, that's really special that they were there with you. And, like, they experienced that exact same thing alongside you. So.
Yeah, there's absolutely a bond that comes with that. I mean, that earlier this year, to be able to qualify, we spent like 7 weeks in India together. So I think, you know, each part of our journey is a bonding experience in its own way. And so, it just makes that, like, so special to experience those things with each other.
Yeah, that's so cool. That'll be like a bond you have forever.
Yeah.
That's so special. And then I just want to end on kind of like the future of mental health. Where do you see it going as far as athletes? I mean, they're speaking up, I think, now more than ever about mental health. And I think of Simone Biles. She talked a lot about it this year. Do you see that progressing? And where are areas where you would like to see, you know, more resources or more tools to be presented? Like, do you see any gaps in help that they've provided for you guys?
Yeah. I think, first of all, I hope that, you know, the conversations surrounding mental health continue. I think, especially in the sports world, I think having such icons or people to look for inspiration and people who have accomplished great things, recognizing and giving voice to mental health and the topic is so important. And so I hope things continue to progress and it continues to be a topic of conversation, because I think there are so many facets and it's so complex in so many ways. And so, I hope that more resources and research go into that.
Yeah.
But then I think for where some of the gaps lie, I think specific to sport, I think the way the Olympic teams kind of compete or, proceed with high performance is vastly different than teams that maybe have more funding and things like that. So I think there's a gap in terms of what teams have also professional resources and a lot of investment. And so those lower profile teams, not that, again, I think, with our sports side, we have tremendous amount of resources in that regard, but she works for 2 teams and she is incredible at that. But there are a lot of ways in which the resources that are provided to us year round can improve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then do you think, if you think about kind of like physical health and mental health, they're both health, but very different, right? Yeah. And I know that physical health is obviously like very high priority for you guys.
Yeah.
And do you think that maybe one day, or maybe it's already on its way there, like those 2 types of health will be treated in the same regard, or do you feel like they already are, mental and physical?
Yeah, I think they definitely are still in kind of 2 separate lanes. I think the hard part with mental health is that everyone is on their own journey.
Yeah.
And so I think, and it's not as visible, so to speak. And so I think in terms of blending the 2 in a high-performance environment, I think it's really important that you have coaches and leaders who build true connections and trust with their athletes to be able to push them, but also have that empathy to know when they're struggling. And so I think it's hard to blend the 2, but I do think it's possible, and I think that there's still work, that can be done in that area. And I think part of it is also like an education piece. I think for so long, coaches are told to do more, or, think that more is better. And so I think, educating them on how to handle different situations and, how to approach athletes with empathy and understanding for, their situation or what their mental journey is important. So,
and I think my brain goes to like, when is rest helpful, and not only physically, but like
mentally,
a mental health day, right? Like those maybe don't exist for you guys. I don't know. But like sometimes your body needs a rest, and so does your mind. Kind of needs like a break from thinking about the thing, or stressing about the thing, or doing the thing, right? So hopefully those two can continue to blend and kind of be held in the same regard.
On that too, like, it's funny, we have these like rest regen periods that we usually have like post tour or after like a long training block. But you have to remember, like, our average tour length is a month, and so that's a month that we're gone working. And so it, like, even rest days on tour, sometimes you're surrounded by your teammates, you're surrounded by your coaching, you're surrounded by your staff, you're still working and doing the things to be a high performance athlete, which at the end of the day, it is a 24/7 job, whether we're on tour or at home. And in terms of your eating, what are you doing, your activity level, and all of that. But to that point, I think that's even more so why the mental health aspect is so important, because it is all encompassing. It is a 24/7 job.
Yeah, for sure. And then just, as we wrap up, any final thoughts or things that you would like for our audience to know about you, or that you want to share, maybe that are inspiring? Any final or closing thoughts?
Yeah, there was a quote that I heard recently from a Paralympian. He's a Paralympic swimmer, Evan Austin, and he had just finished his last race up, and he had received a medal in Tokyo, and he didn't medal in Paris. And his quote was that if you're not enough without a medal, you'll never be enough with one. And so I think honestly that message, also coming from someone who has both received a medal and now being on the flip side of it not, is just like so powerful. And I think it's just a good reminder for all of us, Olympians or not Olympians, that you are enough. And sometimes I think, again, going into that comparison, we can kind of convince ourselves of otherwise. But I think that's a huge message that's super, super important for people to hear.
Yeah, and when I hear that message, that quote, it just makes me think of your own self-worth can't be defined by like getting a gold medal or whatever the achievement is. You have to know your worth individually outside of the achievements, and then the achievements just make it make you feel amazing, right? But knowing that you're enough with or without a gold medal or whatever it is in your life that you're working towards. But that's awesome. I just want to say thank you. This has been amazing to learn about your experience. It's truly like unique and something that not a lot of people get to do, obviously. So just your vulnerability and being able to speak about things that might have been difficult to talk about. I just want to say truly, truly thankful for that and the time that you've given us today. So,
thank you for having me and giving us this platform.
Yeah, look out for her, I guess, with what she chooses to do with her platform next. And again, that's Amanda Golini, the captain of the U.S. national field hockey team. So thank you.